Well, hello, Trusted Advisor Selling Institute members. This is Brad Tanini from Trusted Advisor Selling Headquarters, and today I've got a very special webinar. The webinar today is all about the power of LinkedIn. Now, if there's something I get asked all the time about right now is how do we use LinkedIn? How do we leverage LinkedIn? We know it's a great tool, but where do we start? This is something I get over and over and over again. Just to put ourselves in the picture here, LinkedIn to me, and I'm biased because I just think it's fabulous, is a fantastic way of us creating connections. And if you're not in it right now, I got to tell you, get into it, because it really is one of the best business-to-business mediums you can have around. Now, today we're going to talk all about how do we create more leads and opportunities, what are the must-haves in terms of being able to get your LinkedIn up to speed. And if you're not currently in it, maybe this will inspire you to go out and get it straight away, because I got to tell you, it really is a powerful tool. I have the most sensational expert on the line right now, Prabin Gautam, who is the faculty member of the Trusted Advisor Selling Institute, who is the LinkedIn guy. He's the guy you go to find out how to get the strategy right, how to start yourself in LinkedIn, and he does a lot of my work in LinkedIn, so I can't recommend him highly enough. So let's welcome Prabin Gautam. Welcome.
G'day, Brad. How are you?
I'm going fantastically. I've got a feeling your business is going pretty well right now, and that you've got a lot of people asking about how to use LinkedIn.
You bet, Brad. This is almost like a hot cake these days. Yeah.
Now, I want to give people a bit of a heads up as to your background, and because you and I have been in our same worlds for a few years now at least. You'll probably know better than I will in terms of exactly the timeline. I'm getting older than you. But this idea of being a digital strategist, I want you to put us in a picture and what Viz does and what you find yourself doing from week to week in terms of how you help business to create more LinkedIn or lead opportunities, I would say. Yeah.
Sure, Brad. Thank you. Yeah, let me tell a little bit about to our members and guests, those who are on the line. So pretty much I started this business, Viz, in 2007. Obviously my background is technical background, working in different companies. When I started the business, I remember the first website cost me tens of thousands of dollars. And we all, when we created the website, we all hoped that it's going to give us more leads, more sales, more opportunity. So I was also one of them. I was just waiting, almost in a waiting game. So I waited for 3 months, 6 months, year, 2 years, and even 3 years until I discovered that sales and marketing is a key in any business. Since me and my team, obviously we started through Viz, we only started doing designing side. But nowadays, me and my team is committed to generate more leads, more sales, and more opportunities to our clients.
Well, this is something that all my members want. Everyone in my world, in my community, are dying to know, how do I create lead opportunities? Because let's face it, I can talk in my webinars, in my seminars and breakfasts around how to convert, how to create new relationships, referrals, a whole range of things. But, we need to have these ways of filling our pipe, having things coming into the pipeline all the time. And the great thing I have learned about LinkedIn since working with you is the great power of how this can be done going along in the background, and like an automated system. You need to put some time in to start with, but it can create big dividends, and never has there been a business-to-business medium like it before.
Totally, Brad. So I think this has been a very powerful time, and it bridges the gap between sales and marketing. Gone were those days when people were knocking the door, or, not sure if even some of the members are using yellow pages these days. So gone were those days. So what we are living is, everything now, even the instant coffee is slow these days. So what LinkedIn does is beautifully segregate those people who you meet in the offline world and how you can connect them to the online, or from the online, divert them to the offline. So it's beautiful way, beautiful segue, I would say.
Now, members obviously get, as part of their package with me, a wonderful intensive night with you where you go through, well over 2 hours of information. And I've sat through that myself, sitting there in the front row making notes, and you are very, very generous with the information you give out. I wanted this to be a taste for people to understand a bit more about LinkedIn, to understand, the great power of it, so that really down the track they can start embracing it. Because I'd hate them to be missing out on golden opportunities right now. Now, just to put people in the picture, when I started in sales, and my first original appointments in sales were made decades ago now. When I started going selling, I don't know, but I used to find that you'd turn up to reception and sometimes the person you were dealing with was no longer there. They'd gone. And it might have been your best buyer, your best customer. It might have been someone you've been working on for months, if not years, in terms of lead times. And one of the most frustrating things I found in selling all my products years ago was, where have they gone? The receptionist was never going to tell me where they went. No one would actually forward on my information to them. So I've lost one of my best customers, my best prospects, because I don't know where they went. Now, LinkedIn today, the great thing about it is if I go connect, I'm finding all the people that I haven't seen for years. This is extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. That's what the power in a fingertips, literally, in your, everything is right there. So you don't have to literally, wait and, like, as one of our friends always used to say, spray and pray. Literally,
right.
You don't have to do it. So this really helps us to target those clients and add values for sure.
So what you're finding in LinkedIn is that it's a lead generator and a connector to your target market and to people you don't know, but, getting in and starting the conversation. You're going to talk today a little bit about nurturing as well in terms of those relationships, but it's also a wonderful tool to keep in contact with clients too, send out content to them, videos. I know you do a lot on my behalf, but a lot of other information you can send to keep your community in the mix.
You bet. And the way how we're going to do it, Brad, is there are 3 ways literally to get the LinkedIn success, which I get to ask all the time in my class. Even yesterday I did one of the master class. So people were asking about where do I really start? And I get that because, there's so many social medias out there. But right now, if you're in business to business, LinkedIn is a no-brainer, literally. So it's no point doing Instagram or Facebook or all the things, and then you are overwhelmed. Just pick LinkedIn, and there's 3 ways, which I'm going to cover up quickly, if I can, please. So the first step is obviously maximizing the profile. So before we start anything, maximizing the profile is a key, which means obviously, what does that mean is, having the professional photos, having the professional headline where you are targeted on keywords. So what also LinkedIn does is, because obviously LinkedIn is just last year, Microsoft have this acquisition for LinkedIn, and it segregates beautifully in Google. So which means when people are typing, let's say in your case, when people are typing about sales strategist, or let's say if they are typing about sales trainer in Melbourne, or that might be sales trainer in Australia, then not only your website, but your LinkedIn, a lot more chances for LinkedIn to come up. The reason is, again, because the Google algorithm works in such a way, it personalizes everything. So LinkedIn is beautifully helps to create that, right?
Well, this is an important point, Prabin, because, the thing that I learned from going to the workshop with you was just the overlooked basic fundamental of the profile. And I love the way that you've got straight into content today, because we are very much in these webinars, always less than 30 minutes, always no BS, no fluff, straight to it, giving members some excellent value and some how-to tools. So thank you for jumping straight into it. This idea of profile, though, to me, this is something that people can do straight away. If they're not on LinkedIn right now, they jump in, they do the free trial, they stick a profile in, off they go straight away, can't they?
Exactly. So they don't have to literally wait. So a couple of things is photos, headline, profile, summary. It's all about 50% about you, 50% about the company or the role you are involved with. It's a no-brainer, literally, because I see day in, day out, people are using third language. So what we're going to do is, instead of using third language, you must have to have a personalized connections, because it's all about relationship building. So what LinkedIn does, it excels that relationship. So it's no point saying in a third person. It's better to say, okay, so, through working with this company, I have demonstrated. So it is better to use your own language so that people will, it's going back to the basic, all 3 things, know, like, and trust. So it builds that trust of credibility through LinkedIn.
Do you see value in other people proofreading your profile for you? Like, in other words, you might have a draft of it and then give it to someone and say, what do you think of this? Because really, it's all about attracting people and connecting people into our world. And sometimes we don't know how to write really well about ourselves, do we?
And now we don't. Actually, that's why we have got a story writer, Tanya, who specialize on just story writing about the profile fixing. So a lot of the members, a lot of our clients who is not sure about how to write that, very compelling profile. So Tanya write it, she does the interview about hour and so, and then she pull out a lot of data and write that profile beautifully. So that's for the individual, right? But at the second way, or the second thing is also about the companies, because the company profile need to be fixed. Even this morning I was in a conference, and obviously there's more than 30 plus staff, and everyone is everywhere. So what literally we got to do is having that consistency throughout. So the consistency of your team, consistency among the company space, everything need to be consistent. That's for sure. And that's a big challenge, actually.
Because you really want a congruent message going to market, don't you? And you want to appear as if you're a SWAT team or a single enterprise, as I talk about it, in terms of all different people in the business following the same rules. We all look like we're going the same direction. So not one salesperson is necessarily favoured every time, but we as a group can all take that inquiry, or we can all run with a lead, or we can all go out and see someone. It's about creating a SWAT team.
You bet, Brad. Otherwise, you always say, I love about that is confused mind, don't buy. That's for sure.
Right. That's right. Now, in terms of the profile, is there anything that that's a little sneaky thing that you think makes a big difference in terms of what you see that people do that others don't do that really gets them involved? I mean, you mentioned obviously photos. You mentioned the idea of maybe a video. We talked about proofreading or getting someone else to read on your behalf. What's a little thing that you've noticed that's actually a little 1%er that does make a big difference?
Well, when you talk about the sales marketing, even like one of the projects we are helping, they have got about 30 plus staff and in North Melbourne. So the idea here, obviously when I'm dealing with the sales team, they are a, sales manager or sales assistant. But funny thing is when I look on their skills, there is no sales component at all.
Wow.
So what do we think? There's no negotiation. There is no any skills added sales if they are doing sales job. So, it's almost seems like, there's no skin on the game. That's for sure.
Okay. That's a great tip. I mean, I think that, I know when you go into your workshop and you go through a couple of hours of this, you actually give people a full list of all the things that must go into a profile. And we're only doing this in less than 25 minutes today. But the idea that the profile is a key piece that is overlooked. And I totally got that message in the workshop and thought, wow, I haven't done it very well. And right there and then, I think you can remember this, I actually got my computer out and did it right there because I'm a believer in action taking. I don't want to go home and think about this later. I want to get it done right now. So I just did it straight away at the workshop. Hey, give us number 2, Prabin.
All right, good. So number 2, once you maximize the profile, whether that may be your individual or your company profile or company page, getting that consistency right. Now, the second step is about the lead generation. And as you just touched before is we have a 7-step sequence. How can you connect the quality clients or your ideal clients, and how can you convert? So there are 7-step strategy, which we will create that automation sequence based on your target market, based on your target audience, and then we will roll out. So it's purely lead generation, targeting the right clientele for your business.
Now, this is a really important point, and this is where we need to get very strategic and tactical about where we're trying to take the conversation. One of the biggest problems I see in lead generation and selling full stop, to be perfectly honest with you, the last 29 years, is that I see salespeople all the time trying to take the person out for a date straight away without even having a conversation. I mean, it's about how do we actually start the conversation, how do we get going with it before we can invite them anywhere or do anything or go to a meeting. And the idea of a nurture sequence to me, and I know you haven't got time today to do all 7 steps, but in the workshop, you actually show us examples of how you can do this, don't you?
You bet. That's what we. So simple rule is, before you ask, simple rule is value, and then you ask, obviously. So, and then obviously, the 7 sequence we will show you or give you some templates where you can just plug and play.
Now, this is a really good thing you're talking about, because, you know, in our journey together, and I've certainly been, I guess, an influence in some way into your business for well over, 6 years now, I'm guessing, or something like that. Are you telling me?
7 years over.
Wow. Okay. Well, it goes fast, doesn't it? We're all getting a bit older. So, you know, in that journey, I've often said to you, be generous with content. And as an information provider and a solution finder and an expert in the marketplace, a trusted advisor, I see a lot of people going, oh, I'm going to hold this back. I'm going to hold that back. I'm not going to give them stuff. Right now, you're basically saying, hey, get the profile organized. This is what you need to think about. 2, start developing a nurture sequence and thinking about, you're being extremely generous. But I think you would agree that when you get involved in the tool, it's like the old thing, you sort of learn something, but you get a thirst for wanting to learn more, don't you?
You bet, Brad. So now the third step, you know, I'm conscious with the time. The third step will be, then we move to Sales Navigator. You and me, we know that in a lot of sales team, you know, the people who come attend your breakfast is, you know, many people or many of the BDM or sales manager or even director or sales assistant, they have got this Sales Navigator, but what do? They don't do anything. So, you know, they are literally spending the money sitting in the gold mine doing nothing, literally. So they don't know how to utilize the Sales Navigator. Simple as that. So idea here is to fix the profile, get some automation happening, and get the Sales Navigator, which is how much? On, you know, 900 something, under $1,000, you know, per year it will cost. So what it does beautifully is, like, you know, once we start populating the content, you know, when we send that, or when you send that content, it goes to your first circle, right? Those you are connected to. But once you are in Sales Navigator, it also helps you to go within second circle. So those people who you are not connected, even they can have a look, or they get an opportunity to test your content. So that's one of the advanced features of Sales Navigator, right? Now, second features, which I was mentioning to in my masterclass last night, was someone asked me, look, Prabin, how does, you know, I understand LinkedIn, but how does LinkedIn help us to create more referrals? Tell me more. So what it does is, Sales Navigator is basically, because, you know, here in LinkedIn, it borrows the trust, right? So suppose, let's say I'm already connected with Brad, right? And Brad is connected to one of the CEO, let's say Peter. So I want to do, you know, when I check Peter's company, I want to do business with Peter. So obviously, I borrow that trust and quickly ask Brad, would you mind recommending to Peter? So seeing the work we have done in last few years. So LinkedIn is the best way in asking referrals.
This is a great point, because if we go back to the start of your point about the Sales Navigator product, I mean, I've said to people who are using LinkedIn and they're just playing with it, that at the end of the day, make the commitment. And I think you're right, it's something like $800 a year, but make the commitment. If you're full-time in sales, you know, as my old man said, spend a buck to make a buck. You know, you can't be sitting there going, I'm not going to spend money, I'm not going to put content out. That's all rubbish. This is the new world we live in, that you have to invest in yourself, but you also have to be putting out content so people get to understand you. Now, the point you're making about this third party and the different circles of influence you're talking about is so true. What I have noticed in recent times with my Sales Navigator product with me is that, and you might comment on this, is that I have noticed a higher proportion and a bigger number of people viewing my profile in recent times. Now, I'm guessing you're going to say, well, that's part of the work I'm doing for you right now, Brad, because that's what it's correct. But I have noticed it. A lot more people now looking at it.
Yes, very, very true, Brad. And that's the beauty of Sales Navigator. Suppose, let's say, even I was giving one example for, you know, one of the company, they are dealing a lot more with dentists. So, you know, if we are helping up, what we're going to do is we will target that dental market. So we will create a whole dashboard, creating the leads and opportunity, just focusing on dental businesses. So who are these clients? Because his business is all about, you know, adding the fixing for the dental practices. So how we are doing is obviously finding the mid-sized dental practices and then creating all the leads. So the beauty here is any dental business owners who buy another dental practice, and through Sales Navigator, straight away the notification comes up, which means now the Brett can, you know, he can approach to this dental owner. that, hey, look, I just found out that you just brought this dental practice, new dental in Martin or new dental in wherever, in different locations. Now, yeah, just touching base, just making sure that you're good on the setting it up. Or if there's anything I can help, just let me know. So that's the beauty of Sales Navigator. So what it does is pretty much give you a notification as soon as people change the job or do anything, which means as a sales assistant, if the new CEO comes in or new director comes in or new any of the team added in, then you have that information right then and there. It's like a hot cake.
Now, just to close this conversation on Sales Navigator, because I think it is an amazing product, is that the other parts of this that I don't know if we make clear to members today is that your ability to actually choose by industries and choose via a number of employees and things is incredible, isn't it? You really are pinpointing exactly who you want rather than just, as a novice, people going into LinkedIn and connecting with anyone. There's no point to that. You've got to choose your market, go deep into it, and make a commitment to navigate it to actually say, where is my best quality lead going to come from?
That's it, Brad. So, and that's how sales team just love it, because they don't have to go to all this networking. And still the old saying, go where your customers are, simple as that. So if the customers are in LinkedIn, which they are, it's no point going to networking, which every time they want to sell you something. LinkedIn is perfect. We're having a coffee at your office and, just choosing all the right clients who you want to do a business with. Simple as that.
Well, I think those 3 points you covered with us today are just superb. I mean, the idea of really looking at the profile. I love the idea of the Sales Navigator product. The fact that we've got to really get involved in that product. But there's one other thing I just want to finish with today, and that is really about a commitment to it. You can't just say you're going to play with this tool. I mean, I know I certainly have a period of time every week that I'm working on it. I know you're working on it for me. The power of commitment with this tool is really, really important, isn't it?
You bet. That's why, Brad, we do something like this whole 90 days plan for our clients, what exactly from, online, what we will be doing. So pretty much commitment is a key. It's no point just, again, spray and pray, just throwing something and hoping that someone will see the content. It's nothing like that. You just have to be committed and get the things day in, day out, pretty sure.
And as a person who's in Navigator, I mean, would you say that you need to have certain defined periods of the week and maybe a certain number of hours or certain amount of time that you should be committing to it in your weekly calendar?
Look, if you were, so how we put the timeline from maximizing profile to Sales Navigator is almost 90 days, depending upon where your contents are sitting, because some of the time your ebooks is not ready or nurture sequence is not ready. Sometimes it go a little bit beyond 90 days, but ideally from maximizing the profile to Sales Navigator is 90 days. From the Sales Navigator, obviously you can drive by your own, or you will find someone like us, trusted marketing advisors or trusted marketing people who can drive that LinkedIn for you. So ideally, I would say, look, everything is set up then weekly about 3 to 4 hours. That's about it. You don't have to spend days and days and days. It's almost like, going to any networking events every week. But this one is much fruitful, much better, because you don't have to drive an hour, coming back an hour. And there's a lot of things goes in, at least 5 hours, give or take. It will take time to go any networking. So here, what it does, it just simplifies everything. Just be in your office, have a coffee, and then start finding out the right audience or right people who you want to do a business with.
Well, this is a great point and a great way to finish the conversation today, because, as you know, I always honour my time frames, regardless of what I do in life with members and to my clients. And if I said under 30, it's going to be under 30. So I want to finish up. But one of the things that you just picked up was this idea of committing to it for a certain period of time. And I certainly believe that, a couple of periods of even 30 minutes to an hour tops a week would get you enormous results. But the one point I think that is relevant to all this is that this is not selling. This is the start of a commitment to creating connections and your ability to nurture and develop better relationships with your clients. But I want to make it very clear, because I hear a lot of people say, I'm at there selling, Brad. I'm doing a lot of sales. And I go, what are you doing? How many face-to-face appointments did you have last week? And they said, none. What do you do spend your time doing? Oh, I did 6 hours of LinkedIn. I go, no, that's only going to be part of the mix. We've got to get face-to-face. We'd have conversations. I really believe that sales is a contact sport, so we need to get in front of people. Prabin, you have been enormously generous today. Thank you so much for your time. I want to give people a sneak peek to LinkedIn. We have your workshop in our calendar. People can certainly do it over the course of 2 or 3 times during a year in being a Trusted Advisor Selling member. And you'll also be obviously part of our speaker profiles with regard to our Great Sales Summit. So I'm looking forward to having you involved there too. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Brad. It's great to be there.
Thank you.
Get stuff.